The content of Kingdom of Healing with Kimberly Mateo, powered by 710 Radio, is intended for general information purposes only. It is not designed to provide listeners with specific and personal medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional services, or any advice. The programs are not meant to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Individuals with health problems should always consult their healthcare provider for professional medical advice, medications, and/or treatments. Kingdom of Healing also does not promote anyone's individual practices, programs, agendas, particular treatments, healthcare programs, providers, hospitals, and/or medical centers. The views expressed by show host and their guests are their own and shall not be construed in any way as advice from Kingdom of Healing. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, or editors will always be presented as such. We encourage you to always seek professional advice or care for any problems which you may have. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to the Kingdom of Healing or 710 Radio or the show hosts whose words and or opinions appear from or on this radio show.
Live on iHeartRadio, powered by 710 Radio. This is the Kingdom of Healing with Kimberly Mateo. So grab you a pen and a paper, kick your feet up, and get ready for some serious knowledge to be dropped on you. Because Kimberly Mateo is a nationally certified naturopath, master herbalist, iridologist, a nutritionist, and a holistic healer since 1977. She shares 35 plus years of knowledge and experience to listeners who are interested in learning and overcoming health challenges naturally. So without further delay, here is the host of your show, Kimberly Mateo.
Hi, welcome back. Thank you for joining me today on Kingdom of Healing. This is Kimberly Mateo, and I'm a traditional naturopath and a master herbalist, and I hope what I share today will help you and your loved ones overcome any health challenges that you're dealing with. I want to talk about today's connective tissue. That's everything that, keeps us all kind of glued together, the collagen. And there was an advertisement for a product that got my attention the other day, and this guy is holding up this bag of cartilage, and I think it had a cow or a horse or something on the front. I think it was a cow on the front of it, and and this ad was promoting adding this cartilage into your diet and putting it into your juice and stuff, and it's like, this is crazy. I mean, this is crazy that, and it's considered a natural supplement, but to me it was really kind of it made me kind of sick to think about it because of the animals that are now being processed for their collagen. And, we can make collagen in our body without having to consume powdered and processed hooves and bones and things left over from the waste of the processing of animals. And that's where that product comes from. And considering that the majority of these animals are standing around in feedlots, cramped environments, anybody who's driven by a feedlot, I mean, here we may be in Colorado, but it doesn't take too much going east,
right,
north, a little south, especially east, to pass some of those feedlots. And the conditions are absolutely disgusting. And what those animals are standing around in, the last thing I want to do is consume their hooves.
Right. Right.
No thanks. So, vitamin C and bioflavonoids are what help our body to make the collagen, which is what strengthens the connective tissue. So it keeps your skin nice and tight and stuck to the muscle underneath. A lack of collagen or poor absorption of collagen is, a lot of sagging skin and wrinkling skin. And in these real expensive skincare products, you're seeing serum vitamin C. Well, it's because of its ability to produce collagen underneath the skin. So how about having a diet with a great variety of all the different colors of the produce? I mean, we're given a rainbow of colors for our produce, and there's a reason why, from an antioxidant standpoint, and the yellows are a little higher in certain antioxidants than the red ones and the green ones, but all of them in their natural state are very high in natural occurring vitamin C and bioflavonoids, and bioflavonoids are the component that help with the absorption of vitamin C in our body. But there's a couple of great products that help in the production of the connective tissue in our body. That is, we have one called Hair, Skin, and Nails, the HSN-W, and another wonderful product that's just the Herbal CA. And that also, the Herbal CA, comes in a concentrated form where you can get by with taking one capsule is equal, in the concentrated form, is equal to 4 to 6 of the regular strength. Wow. So when you order the Herbal CA, I always recommend and personally use the ATC concentrate. So you're only taking one twice a day, and that's the equivalent of taking a total of 8 to 12 of the regular strength, that there's 100 in that bottle. The concentrated, you're just going to get 60, but it's going to last you. It's going to last you 30 days because you're just going to take one twice a day. But the HSNW, that has horsetail in it. Horsetail and oat straw is something that I used a lot of, and would always make oat straw tea for my youngest son, and it has a very nondescript taste to it. It's very easy to add it into other things, and he's 6'8", and in growing him into a 6'8" man, he never had, ever, a growing pain.
Wow.
He never had any muscle pains. He didn't have any ligament pains. He didn't have, he played sports. He was active. He was constantly on the go, constantly. His hair grew like crazy. It was always healthy, thick, shiny. And that all has to do with that silicon and silicon and vitamin C in the body makes excellent collagen. And again, that's that connective tissue. So the hair, skin, and nail formula, the HSNW, is a combination that's been used to treat skin rashes, acne, if your nails grow real weak or they split, night sweats, dry throat and mouth, if you have a problem with lymphatic, your lymph nodes swelling up, lymph tissue problems, that can denote, that you do not have enough silicon and potassium and sodium as well. But in this combination, there's dulse herb, and dulse is a mucilagenic. It's actually, it's in the algae family. So it's loaded with nutrition, and it's a great detoxifier because, the kelp family, all the radiation that we're exposed to that's just in the atmosphere, and hey, if you're eating just regular crop-dusted produce, one of the other final things that they do with that is they irradiate it to make sure there's no microscopic bugs, and I've talked about that before on past show with the irradiating of the fruits and vegetables and the meat. They give them 400 times the amount of a chest x-ray.
Wow.
When they are irradiating that food. So your food is not only grown with a chemical enema of pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and all of that, but then they turn around and it's on the trucks, it's irradiated as well. So all the more reason to really stop and think about that when you reach your hand for organic broccoli and go, well, wait a minute, it's $1.90 a pound, where I can get this other broccoli over here for 98 cents a pound. You know what? Spend the extra buck. It's like I said, you're gonna pay for it one way or the other, and if you're not spending a little extra to make sure that you're building health, you're going to pay for it in the doctor's office.
That you will.
So, and they're not cheap, One doctor visit, you could have bought a lot of organic broccoli. You could have bought a lot of organic cauliflower and cabbage. So, so back to this HSNW. It's getting summertime. Everybody wants great skin. Everybody wants their hair looking fantastic. Why spend all the money on getting your nails done if you can grow some stronger nails and your skin looking good? Keeping that skin. I'm asked all the time. It's my age. I've had to a few times. Recently, pull out my ID and prove to them.
Wow.
Yeah, because I don't have any lines or wrinkles or sags or any of that. And it's like, man, you don't have skin that looks like you're 60, and I just really can. All I say is, it has to be the past coming up on 40 years of nutritional supplements, doing lots and lots of herbs, and that's why my skin looks like it does. Because it's sad to see young gals that are in their 30s that 30s and 40s that it's very hard to reverse that once that starts showing up.
Wow.
Because it's just like with our bone structure. Our bone structure and how well and strong our bones are, a lot of that is determined by how well nourished we were as children. That carries us into our adult life and beyond. So, I'm a big advocate for the herbs. I love the herbs. The herbs deliver all the nutrition that we do not get in our food. And, we've talked about before on the show that the possibility of sometime in the very near future where we may not even be able to have organic certification for produce because the amount of metric tons of toxins that are in our atmosphere affect the organic crops. So it is very scary with how quickly we are polluting the only planet that we have to live on. And, just recently NASA just discovered, another 1,280-some new planets.
Wow.
Yeah, just this past week, I think it was. And took a long time to discover them. 1,280-some new planets.
Right.
But, in the solar system, we only have one planet that we can live on.
Right now.
And that's our Mother Earth.
Right.
And what's being done to our Mother Earth is an abomination.
Yes, it is.
And so if we do not, those of us, that are not afraid to open our mouth and to speak, we have to continue on with the mantra of what needs to be done and what we need to be telling our Congress people what to do and what not to do, because we have to leave this planet to our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and everyone that's going to come after us. And at the rate we're going, it's not going to be, it's already working on not being a real great place to be because of the amount of poison in the air and the poison in the ground, and the aquifers are being affected by the fracking. The aquifers are being affected by the crop dusting of the chemicals that make their way through the filtration system of the soil and make their way into those aquifers. And those aquifers are what is where water, as far as wells and stuff come from. And there's plenty of places in Colorado where the water that comes up out of the wells are deplorable. They're disgusting. There's no way that you just turn on your tap and drink that stuff. If you do, you're sick. And you're dealing with an illness. And I see a lot of times, a lot of, through iridology, a lot of sulfur and iron settlement in the irides. That's the colored part of the eye. And where they're settled off at is, from a nerve impulse, is a specific organ. And people are always having problems with that organ reflex. It's like, how'd you know I had a problem there with that organ? Well, did you grow up on a well? You remember things being turned orange or red or, green, that blue-green that builds up, that's inorganic fluoride.
Interesting.
Yeah, so your reddish brown is your iron, your orange is your sulfur, and when you have that high sulfur, you turn the water on and the whole place smells like rotten eggs. It's the sulfur. It's that sulfur.
Interesting.
But it settles off in your tissue. Okay, so, and it will create a problem eventually when it accumulates enough of it into the tissue. So it will affect the way that your skin looks and your hair looks and how well you see. And so it's extremely important to get good quality nutrition into your body, because things that are organic and occur naturally, specific minerals and trace minerals, they leach out those inorganic minerals that make their way into the body. So iron will leach out iron. Natural source of iron will leach out inorganic iron. Natural sources of sulfur will leach out inorganic sulfur settlements. So our sulfur foods are cruciferous vegetables, or broccoli, or cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, garlic, onions, leeks. Those are natural occurring sulfur foods. High iron foods are everything that's red.
Okay.
Any fruit or vegetable that's red, it's high in natural occurring iron. Okay, so back to the hair, skin, nails. formula. That horsetail, it increases the production of urine in the body, so it's excellent if you have somebody who has lymphedema, where their body holds a lot of excessive fluid. It's a natural diuretic. Okay, so horsetail herb is a natural diuretic. And horsetail is found in the HSNW product, the hair, skin, nails, and it's also found in the herbal CA, which is that herbal calcium combination. Horsetail is most noted for its trace mineral profile, since it's an excellent herbal source of bioavailable silicon, calcium, magnesium, chromium. And chromium is that glucose factor. It keeps the blood sugar stabilized, chromium. Iron, magnesium, potassium. It's used to treat osteoporosis, urinary tract infections, muscle cramps, inflammations throughout the body. The other herb that's in this combination, as well as the dulse. Okay, the dulse is, I started out with that, it's related to the algae family. So it's extremely high in natural occurring iodine. And iodine is what feeds the thyroid and the parathyroid. And the parathyroid regulates the water balance in our body, as well as calcium utilization and where calcium is dictated to go in the body. So sometimes it's not always just a problem with, your bones and you're not absorbing calcium. It could trace back to the thyroid with a problem with the parathyroid, because it doesn't know where to direct the calcium to.
Interesting, okay.
Thyroid also has everything to do with the firing of the heart. So you may look at an arrhythmia problem of wanting to just feed the heart, but you need to also address the issue with the thyroid, because that's where the message comes from. So dulse, being in that same family, is extremely high in natural occurring iodine. And iodine also pulls radiation out of the body.
Right.
And it's what burns up metabolic waste in the body. So if you're doing a detoxification, iodine is an excellent way to have sufficient iodine in the body. You're burning that metabolic waste, and your body's getting rid of the toxins that you're being exposed to on a daily basis. It's good to do something on a daily basis because, we've got a lot of detoxifying combinations, like the heavy metal detox. We're exposed to heavy metals every day just by breathing the air.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with taking an enviro detox or a heavy metal detox. One capsule of that twice a day, or by taking the HSNW, you're taking something that is addressing the issue of the toxins that you're being exposed to. Doing a detox once a year, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, and doing it every 3 months doesn't make a lot of sense. You can build up a lot of toxins in a year.
Oh, yeah.
You can build up a lot of toxins in 3 months. So, do something daily that just picks it off a little bit every day, so that what you're exposed to, you're getting rid of.
Right.
Dulse not only increases your metabolic rate, but it strengthens the connective tissue that has to do with the glue that keeps, that works with the collagen and production of collagen that keeps us glued together. Okay, so the algae family is extremely important.
I'm sorry, when you said keep
Keep
together,
us glued together.
I kind of remind me of, the saying, don't come unglued.
Don't come unglued. Yeah, don't come unglued. Stay glued together. Yeah. It strengthens the connective tissue. There's a lot of connective tissue. I mean, look at all the people with knee problems. Stop and think about that. I mean, look at the bone of the knees. How much stress is on the knees.
Right.
And people can kind of start complaining about their knees bothering them in their 20s. So, connective tissue, make sure that you have a diet that is high in things that will strengthen the connective tissue in the body. It's also used, dulse, or the algaes, are also used with dry cough, enlarged glands, enlarged lymph nodes, skin problems. The next herb in this combination in the HSNW is sage. And sage is really good for increasing your digestive fluids and aiding in digestion. It's also very antiseptic, and it's extremely high in antioxidants. It contains astringent compounds that shrink inflamed tissue and can help to decrease perspiration. Sage has been used to treat sore throats, night sweats, headaches, colds, influenza. Sage is one of those herbs, too, that if a mother is breastfeeding and she's trying to wean her child, sage is something that will dry up the milk successfully, quickly. So if you want to nurse, be sure to stay away from sage and parsley. Both of those, sage and parsley, will dry the milk up. And if you are breastfeeding, you want to make sure that sage and parsley are not in your diet, or it will not be real successful. There is gelatin in this, which is a source of protein, and it is extremely high in minerals and trace minerals. When you combine it with amino acids, it aids in the digestive process by stimulating and strengthening the digestive process. It also is it's very easily absorbed in the small intestines. This is a building block combination that's used for everything on a cellular level. Rosemary is found in this. It's aromatic. It's also sedative. Has sedative effects. Rosemary is very good for depression. So kind of back with the last show where we talked about post-traumatic stress syndrome. Rosemary essential oil to diffuse that into the air gives, it triggers all of those senses to release serotonin. And releasing of the serotonin changes your mood. It makes you happy. So rosemary is an excellent essential oil to diffuse for people who are battling and dealing with depression. Because let's face it, a lot of these antidepressants do not work very well. I mean, they'll work for a little while, and then before you know it, you're back. It's whipping a tired horse. It's taking a medication to force the body to do what you need it to do. But if you're not getting in there and you're not building, if you're not repairing, if you're not replacing, if you're not doing replacement therapy by getting those nutrients in, pretty soon, what happens when you're whipping the tired horse? It's down, it's dead.
Right.
Okay, you've got to think replacement therapy. And that is the nutrients that you need to get into the body. And our senses, the sense of smell triggers so many different systems of the body. It's just like, the very easy one is, you can not feel hungry at all, and somebody's talking about food and you're just not hungry. What happens when you smell it? You're hungry.
Right.
Everything, your mouth waters, your
tummy,
that's the sense of smell, what it does. So never ever underestimate what our sense of smell can do from a standpoint of stimulating and healing the body. So rosemary is excellent for that. It's been used to treat inflammation and pain, and it's very good for people who are extremely nervous, exhausted. Too much stress. Go all the time. Don't catch a break. They're always on the go, on the move, doing this, doing that. And, that's that adrenal exhaustion. That's forcing and pushing your body to the limits. Okay, so rosemary helps with stabilizing that. The next combination I wanted to talk about is that herbal CA. And that product I have over the years is just amazing on how it takes care of rebuilding and strengthening the bone structure, broken bones, torn ligaments, bruised muscles, a tennis elbow. All that swelling with the elbow, the tennis elbow. This stuff knocks it out. The combination in this, the different herbs in there is alfalfa and marshmallow, slippery elm, here's the oat straw, plantain, horsetail, again, just like the HSNW, and it has wheatgrass in it. And wheatgrass balances the pH in the body so that if you are too acidic, it brings it up to a normal balance, and if you're too alkaline, it brings it down into normal. The wheatgrass, loaded with nutrition. It's the young shoots of wheat. It contains bitter compounds that enhance digestion, and it's an excellent source of trace nutrients and enzymes. Superoxide dismutase, which is SOD, is found occurring naturally in that. It's a natural antioxidant. And wheatgrass is used for general debility, fatigue, arthritis. It's used to enhance immune response. So anytime you're dealing with somebody who's weakly, sickly, it's hard to get them strong and strengthened. Wheatgrass is something that is excellent to add to their juicing, and you can pick those up. It's pretty cool. They'll sell them in little squares, and they're 5 to 6 inches tall, and you just trim off the very top of that and add it into salads or put it into soup or put it into if you're juicing, throw a little bit in. Don't put too much because it's kind of like kale. If you use too much of it, the taste becomes so overpowering that it's pretty hard to swallow it. But it's full of mega nutrition and balancing the pH. And with this combination used with the alfalfa, and I love alfalfa, and I've talked about alfalfa a lot, and it's called father of all because it has every mineral and trace mineral known to man is found in alfalfa. And alfalfa, if you're using that with someone who has a very poor appetite, alfalfa will stimulate that appetite and help them with being able to want something to eat. It's loaded with every mineral and trace mineral. It also helps to balance out the blood pressure, and it works with all other nutrients on balancing that pH so that you absorb all the good nutrition that's found in it. Marshmallow, marshmallow is another one of those herbs that, like slippery elm, that it's a mucilagenic. It's very soothing to the tissue. It's very healing. It's like a Jell-O glove throughout the digestive tract. It takes care of inflammation, takes care of areas that are strictured, that are constricted. It helps them to relax. They're both, marshmallow and slippery elm, are loaded with minerals and trace minerals, and very, very good for healing wounds and taking care of soothing inflamed tissue from, say, coughing all the time or just inflammatory conditions. Slippery elm is similar in marshmallow in the compounds that take care of soothing inflamed tissue. It also helps to slow down the transit time in the bowel, slippery elm. If you have a problem, say colitis or irritable bowel syndrome or celiac disease, where everything seems to move through the bowel very, very rapidly, and things come out always in a liquid. Slippery elm is a way to slow that transit time down so that it's very healing, takes care of the inflammation, and bulks. The slippery elm and the marshmallow help with bulking things up in the digestive tract so that things are not watery as your end result. Psyllium is used as well for bulking, but the problem with psyllium husks is that if you take psyllium husks, you better make sure that you are taking in enough fluids, because if your water intake is not good enough, psyllium's going to backfire on you. Things are going to be very dry when you eliminate. It'll almost look like a rope. It's pretty crazy. 30 grams, we need 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day in order for the bowel to have what it needs to soften the buildup on the walls, to carry that off. If you have diverticuli, which is little bowel pockets, inflammation of that is diverticulitis. They're very painful. Surgically, they'll remove sections of your bowel, or they'll remove those little bowel pockets. We call them bowel pockets. They're diverticulitis. They hold poison and toxins in the bowel and can actually create fever in the body by the seeping of the poisons through the wall of the large intestine. So a great way to soften those up and to get them to adhere to everything that's coming through the large intestine to be pulled out of there, slippery elm and marshmallow help to do that. And then the slippery elm and the marshmallow help to take care of that inflammation when that's dried up and it's been there for a long time. When that's pulled out of there, there's some tenderness in your gut when those are removed. And one of the things that sounds crazy, but my kids and my grandchildren know exactly what they're looking for in the toilet. I'll have them call sometimes, "Hey, Grandma, what does this mean? Is this whatever?" And it's like, "Yeah, what have you been eating? Yeah, you better be using whatever for whatever the color is or whatever it looks like." And that's something that is very common amongst naturopaths and herbalists and homeopaths and people who do holistic healing, is that we know the importance of digestion and elimination. And the best thing that we can do is to raise our children and our grandchildren so that they know what they're looking for, because it can tell you
A lot.
It can tell you a lot. So slippery elm, when George Washington and his troop were lost just through the winter, and it only ended up that they were just kind of on the over the other side of the hill of where they needed to be, but they had wandered quite a while and made camp. Well, they were surrounded by slippery elm trees, and between building fires and melting the snow, they were putting the bark of the slippery elm tree into making a tea, and that kind of turned into kind of like a gruel, and that is what they were eating. And when they got finally realized where they were at and got to where they needed to be, none of the men died. And they were not starving. They were not emaciated from having, not having regular food. So the slippery elm sustained them and kept them healthy.
Wow.
So slippery elm is a very high nutritive bark. There's a lot of nutrition in that. And so it's very soothing and healing as it goes through the digestive tract. Oat straw is in this combination. And again, it's an excellent herbal source of magnesium. It's been used to treat hysteria and calcium deficiencies, any kind of nervous disorders. And it works well with urinary tract disorders as well as infections. Plantain is in this combination, and plantain is wonderful for removing toxins from the body. Plantain is kind of like one of those things, the leaves of plantain will draw poisons out of the body. So it's along the line of like a drawing salve, or if you're stung and you put mud immediately onto it to pull that stinger out. Plantain pulls toxins from the skin, and when it's used in a combination like the herbal CA, its activity in this combination is to draw the toxins out of the blood, and get them into the bowel, so that can be carried off with the plantain and the marshmallow and the slippery elm. In the combination helps to move and pull all of that out of the digestive tract. Plantain is also used for colitis, and I have a lot of people call, and there's a lot of people that deal with colitis, and that has to do with a lot of stress, internal stress. And colitis, you may not think that it seems very serious, but ultimately, as you deal with a situation of colitis over the years, pretty soon you are dealing with some very serious complications with the large intestine. Colitis will turn into, eventually, it can ultimately end up into like a Crohn's disease, where you have ulcerative colitis. You get into ulcerative colitis, and sections of your bowel starts being removed.
Oh, damn.
It's not good. It's not good at all.
No.
Because they take that, I've had people where they didn't make it too long once, maybe 5 to 10 years, once the duodenum had been removed, because that's the majority of area of your immune system. And that's just not a part of the digestive tract that you want to allow to be removed. So we were given ways to feed and heal and to rebuild and strengthen our body. And I've mentioned it before. It's, Ezekiel 47:12. We're told that the fruit of the plant will be our meat, and the leaves and the root thereof will be our medicine. And there are over 200 references to herbs in the Bible, and being given what we needed that would ever plague mankind. And over the years, the herbalist was kind of pushed aside and said that everything was anecdotal and it didn't work. Well, we've talked about that before on shows too. It's like I feel more comfortable taking something that's been handed down for generations and centuries to be used for a particular problem where no one died. I think that's a lot safer than things from a pharmaceutical standpoint that were not tested, studies published that were not true. And when people start dying, maybe they might take that medication away for a little while, but then the medication comes back on the market because they feel as though the benefits outweigh the problems with it. But I think death is pretty serious.
Yeah, right.
That's pretty serious when there's things out there that'll kill you. And we have more people dying every year, especially in the United States. We have more people who die every year from prescription drugs than we do people who die from street drugs.
That's right. Oh, yes. And it's a staggering amount.
When you get into a couple 100,000, 250,000, 500,000 people dying from prescription drugs, and these are people who are trained to know how to use prescription drugs. And, don't get me wrong, there's a time and a place
definitely
for medicine. When I had West Nile, spinal meningitis and encephalitis, I needed all those bags of antibiotics because, as my family was trying to get me to take things, it was those taste buds. I couldn't handle the smell of anything. I couldn't handle the taste of anything. I was so sick. I got so sick so quick. I wouldn't eat. And if you cannot get good things into a person that's sick, then the alternative to that is, like my mom used to say, once in a while you need the white man's medicine, and it's time for an IV and the white man's medicine. Because if you can't get it in, if you're so sick you can't get it in orally, the only way, thank goodness, is an IV. But then there's things that you can do to build yourself back up, once you've had to take that type of medication, because let's face it, it does a job on the good bacteria and the intestinal tract, good flora. So there's things to help to build that back up. So there is a time and a place for medicine, and I'm not saying don't ever take medicine, because
right.
Don't ever say never, because it's not going to work out that way. The horsetail, you got the oat straw and the horsetail in that, and again, that horsetail is used to shrink inflamed tissue. It's used to help increase the the trace mineral profile is excellent for silicon and calcium, magnesium, chromium, iron, manganese, potassium. So, you've got that chromium in there that helps stabilize the blood sugar. You have chromium, the chromium stabilizing the blood sugar. You have potassium in that feeds the cell, feeds the heart. Silicon, calcium, feeding the bone structure, connective tissue, tendons, ligaments, your hair, It is just, that is a very affordable product. And again, with the Herbal CA, I always recommend that people do the concentrated, the ATC concentrate, so that 1 is equal to 4 to 6 of the regular strength, and get the 60 count bottle. It doesn't even cost what 2 bottles would cost of the 100, but when you figure it out, the amount that you would be taking in the 100 to equivalent to be the equivalent of what you would get in the concentrated, 4 to 6 of them, you're going to blaze through a bottle of 100 pretty quick.
Right. Yeah.
So it's much more cost effective on that. Just remember that, if you come up with seeing that advertisement for the package of
Cartilage.
I remember that there are herbal combinations that are available, and vitamin C and bioflavonoids. That is just so important to make sure that every day you are adding to your diet the vitamin C and bioflavonoids, because about the only thing that our body doesn't make is vitamin C. So we do need to get that from an outside source. D3, our body will make that if you get enough sunshine.
Right.
And you think back at the old balconies of the hospitals and the sanitariums, where they would have everybody, out there in wheelchairs getting sunshine. How many times do you pass a hospital and see anybody out there on big patio veranda areas or balconies in their wheelchairs getting any sunshine?
Yeah, rarely ever.
You don't. You don't. That was something that, decades ago, they knew how important sunshine was. And that's where your body manufactures on its own the vitamin D3, which triggers and strengthens the immune system. Of course, you're not going to leave them out there until they're fried in the sun. Damage your tissue. Unless your patient overload is so big that it's like, oh, oops, I forgot 5 or 6 of my patients out there on that. Yeah. So I know they're kind of crispy. So
lobsters.
Yeah. So lobsters now. So yeah. Make sure there's sunshine. And a lot of this with people and worrying about skin cancer. A lot of that has to do with it's very important to protect the children when they're outside playing, because it's those really, really bad sunburns that damage the tissue when they're very, very young that affects them when they turn into adult age and start dealing with conditions of their skin. And it does go back to the tissue being so burnt due to a bad sunburn. So there are, that with coming into summer. I don't know, Colorado, I'm starting to wonder if are we going to get a spring? You think? I don't know.
I hope so.
I hope so. It's going to just go right blazing into summer.
Right.
And then summer will be gone so quick that, I don't know, I think we could get a little bit of summer and we could be back to winter again. But this has been a really cool season. I went by to see a friend of mine during the week, and last year he just had this awesome, amazing garden. It was incredible. And all organic heirloom seeds. So, it's like, go out back, and it's like the kale is 2.5 feet tall. The onions are all up. The carrots are up. The broccoli. We have had such cool temperatures. We've had 3 snowstorms with a good blanketing of heavy wet snow and cold.
Right.
Since, I think, March 23rd. March 23rd and 24th. It was when we got that late snow, and then got another one. We've had 2 more since then.
Right, in April, yeah.
Yeah, and here with our temperatures, as cold as it's been, and all this snow, I was blown away. That garden, and there's the benefit. Here we're getting into planting season. Use heirloom organic seeds. A lot of things that he allowed to go to seed ended up replenished that garden, and I am not kidding you. Everything was up in that garden, and here we are, May 15th, when people are just getting around to planting a garden. His garden is in, and he didn't do anything.
Wow.
He didn't do anything but give away produce all last summer. Anytime you'd show up, there were always big bowls that were just filled with everything.
Wow.
And go out into the garden and help yourself. Take whatever you want. Take whatever you'll use and you need. And with things that were left over, just let it go to seed. And I kid you not, I was shocked. That garden this past Tuesday looked like his garden did in August.
Wow.
And our weather has been so cool that if you're planting a garden with seed, you can't do it now. The ground's still too cold. It's not warm enough. But I'm going to tell you something right there. That is the benefit of doing a heirloom organic garden. Because if you buy those seeds that have all that blue or purple or I don't know, whatever color they decide to throw in it for this year's seeds, those seeds, they're only going to grow this year.
Right.
You're not going to have an automatic garden like my friend has. And they're eating from it right now. It's like there's carrots, there's onions, there's kale, there's lettuce, there's everything. It's just, and I remember that, when I was a kid, and my Nona, my great-great-grandma, at the end of the season, there's things that she just let lay. She let those seeds, she let those, tomatoes and cucumbers and zucchini and different kinds of squashes and all of the other produce and stuff that she grew. She'd let those go to seed. And my grandma always had a perpetual garden every year. And my little elderly grandma did not go out there and get on her hands and knees and poke little seeds down into the dirt every year. Those plants came back because the seeds, and that's the difference with the heirloom organic seeds, they have the life force within the seed. They're going to regenerate. These seeds that are specifically packed for a season, they can't regenerate themselves. They're adulterated.
Right.
That's not where, they'll look like fruits and vegetables, but they are so deficient in the nutrient properties of the heirloom organics that spend the extra money and buy the packages that are heirloom. Yeah, they may cost you $1.50, $1.75. Maybe some of them might cost $2. But you know what? Let some of that go to seed. And guess what? You have your garden next year.
Right, right.
So, Well, that's all for today's show. God bless you. Have a great week. And be back next week. Take care.